in this incredible story, ladies and gentlemen.
The arrest of the NYPD cop is kind of shocking because she was already being investigated for misconduct allegations. She was on desk duty. We will look at the officer's case and also the bust at that pizza parlor. This is NYPD police officer Grace Rosa Baez, who resigned on Friday after 12 years on the force when she was accused of making drug deals with her Yonkers boyfriend. It's the second significant bust in the Bronx area, with the Mozzarella Pizzeria shut down on Soundview Avenue Thursday, charged with being a wholesale distributor of cocaine, crack, fentanyl, heroin, and oxycodone.
In a pizzeria, of all places, in a pizzeria in the Bronx, in our city, where people are going in on a regular basis to order food.
Mozzarella Pizzeria is located across the street from an elementary school, PS 69. Police said crack cocaine was sold from the counter, while other drugs were processed in the basement.
It's really sad that our kids have to be around that kind of stuff nowadays.
This grandmother remembered the recent daycare bust after a toddler fatally overdosed and 3 others were revived with Narcan.
You know, I'm grandma. I have 2 sons, grandkids.
The pizzeria bust happened on the same day that a female NYPD officer was getting arrested in Yonkers for allegedly making fentanyl and heroin deals. Her alleged client was a paid confidential source with the FBI. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District charged Officer Baez gave the FBI source samples of fentanyl in a Mentos candy container on Monday, October 16th. She and her boyfriend allegedly wanted $30,000 for a kilo of fentanyl during the initial meeting. The Bronx remains a focal point in city, state, and federal efforts to flush out traffickers, ever since agents found trap doors storing drugs under the floor where children in daycare slept.
So Mary, this is a full court press to really find out who in this city is causing the most harm, what organizations are trafficking the most drugs.
The DEA points out cocaine deaths involving opioids like fentanyl account for nearly 85% of fatal cocaine overdoses in the Northeast.
These people that think they're buying cocaine are actually buying cocaine laced with fentanyl. Everything is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you saw it there. NYPD officer boyfriend arrested on federal drug charges. So if we scroll down here, this is an article from The Gothamist by Catalina Gonella. An NYPD officer and her live-in boyfriend were arrested Thursday for allegedly distributing fentanyl and heroin in New York City, federal prosecutors said on Friday. Why this is so important, ladies and gentlemen, is that, as you'll see in the rest of this article, she was never held accountable for her misconduct, and that's the problem with law enforcement. You know, a lot of people talk about that training is a problem. There is a multi-million-dollar budget across the country in police departments for training. They receive a lot of training, trust me. But the accountability, in which we all know, right? But we need to get the mainstream people, the back the blue people, to really understand this, is that there's no accountability in law enforcement, which is very ironic because law enforcement's job is to hold people accountable for breaking the law and to uphold the United States Constitution and our constitutional rights. And they're not held to any, even to the same level as us, let alone I believe they should be held to a higher standard because we have granted them authority to enforce these laws. And that's the problem. No accountability in law enforcement, ladies and gentlemen. Zero accountability, zero oversight. They can do whatever they want. When we get in trouble, it's set to be a deterrent for not only ourselves to commit the crime again, but for society as a whole. But when law enforcement officers see that they can get away with anything, that's the problem. And then Officer Grace Rose Baez and her boyfriend Cesar Martinez were charged in Manhattan federal court Friday with 1 count of conspiracy to distribute narcotics and 3 counts of distributing narcotics, according to the office of Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. The defendants face at least 10 years in prison to life in prison under federal drug statutes, depending on which charge they are convicted of, if any. In a prepared statement, Williams alleged that Baez flagrantly violated her oath to protect and serve the people of New York City by pushing poison, including fentanyl and heroin, which are driving the nation's deadly opioid crisis and have been responsible for thousands of tragic deaths in